Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Take a look at this headline. Isn't this beautiful? XRP liquidity index on Bitso hits new all-time high, exceeds 4 million XRP. I'm going to be running through this story. I've also got a couple Twitter threads I want to share with you, having to do with primarily Bitcoin's halving. Just looking forward to it. There was a little thread. It was between Omar with Crypto's News. I've cited him a few times on the channel, and then also Galgatron. And then I'll wrap up the video with this article from Daily Hodl titled 27 million Bitcoin users now in the United States, says crypto exchange Coinbase. But I thought 2018 spelled the end of crypto. What's going on here? How could this be? Now, before we get going here, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, I like you. You should subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. You'll grow to love me. All right, Ripple has recorded a significant rise in demand for its on-demand liquidity, ODL, as per the firm's Q3 report. In Q4, the XRP ODL system registered increasing liquidity through the Mexican corridor, which subsequently led the XRP liquidity index to soar exponentially and surpass its previous all-time highs. XRP's liquidity hit a new record of 4.14 million XRP on November 1st, according to Liquidity Index Bot, a Twitter handle that posts snapshots of Bitso's liquidity index. And I was actually unaware of that. I'm going to have to follow this bot. I like bots. After all, I'm an XRP bot myself, as I'm sure you are listening to this. Hello, fellow XRP bot. Beep, boop, beep. The first XRP/MXN spike was recorded in September on a major Mexican crypto platform, Bitso, and led the BTC/MXN pair to move to the second position. Liquidity continued to surge via XRP/MXN on Bitso, which is also an on-demand liquidity-enabled exchange, and subsequently hit 3 million XRP in October. At press time, the trading pair XRP/MXN represented 72.18% of the total liquidity on the platform. Which, by the way, that's pretty astonishing. And it's just so fascinating to me. You're talking about the initial, one of two initial corridors that Ripple has set up for what was, previously known as XRP, now just known as on-demand liquidity. And, it's amazing to me. It's not even that much volume, even with MoneyGram on board. They're actually, and I announced this they announced it and I covered it in a pretty recent video, only about 10% of MoneyGram's volume from that corridor, from the United States to Mexico, only about 10% of that is actually going through RippleNet utilizing on-demand liquidity. The rest of it is not. So they're just kind of like slowly onboarding themselves, which actually, now that I'm thinking it, it's kind of funny that Alex Holmes, MoneyGram CEO, has been trying to get Ripple to move faster in terms of onboarding, and they were only putting 10% of their volume through. Maybe they need to speed up a little bit. Anyway, Ripple in its Q3 report had revealed a dramatic decline in sales and, in turn, shifted its focus on strategic partners. In addition to Jump Capital and leading cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, Bitso also received funds from the Brad Garlinghouse-led firm to help further the growth of the ecosystem by offering greater liquidity for payments in Argentinian and Brazilian markets. The Latin American exchanges is a key player in RippleNet's US-Mexico channel and has over 750,000 customers under its umbrella. Additionally, with the Mexican corridor picking up pace, reports have also suggested that Ripple could be venturing into a new on-demand liquidity platform, despite no official announcement from the firm. And I talked about that the other day, too. Now, I had this article pulled up. I don't really need to, I previously shared this article. Is titled, Ripple CEO confirms rumor on MoneyGram's use of XRP, says Bitcoin and crypto activity remains largely speculative. I don't really need to run through this. I'd previously covered it. I just pulled it up here as a reminder. I just wanted to make sure that I cited that little stat about MoneyGram only sending 10% of their volume through. But still, that resulted, you saw what it was. 72% of the total volume of the platform. And that's after just 10% of MoneyGram's volume. It's just insane to me. But basically, that exchange, if once MoneyGram launches this, 100% through that corridor, if they were to do that anyway, I don't know for sure if it's literally going to be 100% ever. If they did that, though, then Bitso is pretty much just there for, Bitso will just pretty much be there for MoneyGram. That's pretty much it at that point, right? Man, that volume is going to be freaking nuts. Now, but who knows? I mean, as you know, adoption continues and more speculators come in, who knows what, you know, the bounce could shift. But because crypto's not going away, and people the world over are going to have substantially more exposure to it in terms of diversity of portfolios before this is all said and done. We'll just have to sit there and see to what degree. All right, take a look at this. This is from Omar Bam. He has, I didn't pull it up. I can't remember how many subscribers he has, but he has a pretty gosh darn big YouTube channel called Crypto's News. Definitely, it's over 100,000. I don't know if he's like 130,000 subscribers or something like that. He's one of the first guys that I ever followed when I entered the world of crypto. And I was a little young, naive Moon Lambo, didn't realize how tribal everybody was. But he doesn't like Ripple and XRP. That's okay. I still think he's a nice guy. I just think he's wrong, and that's perfectly fine. And he thinks I'm wrong. He thinks that my worldview, I guess, because I'm not down with banks and down with the government. That's not Moon Lambo. So I guess he thinks that I'm a silly buns for not being on board the way he is with that type of thought. But anyway, I like the guy. But he tweeted this out. It's shocking how many people can hang around crypto for years through a bear market, and yet most will be all out of the market right before a Bitcoin halving. The madness of crowds never ceases to surprise. How many times have people asked you to buy Bitcoin this year? For me, 0. It's definitely 0. But you can see, so he ran a little poll here, and 57% responded 0, 36% responded 1 to 10 times, 3% responded 10 to 50, and 3% said more than 50 times. Who are those people? How? 3% of this guy's audience are saying that they were asked more than 50 times how to buy Bitcoin. What the hell? That's crazy. Anyway, Galvatron responded to that. Honest question. If everyone knows about the halving, and everyone is expecting the price to climb, and everyone is piling in, what do you think will happen at the halving? Omar responded to Galvatron with this. Everyone is not piling in all at once, because the bear market scared the daylights out of many people who operate with a sense of PTSD. Something I notice anyway, since you ask. And then Galvatron responded to that. What makes you think that the halving will make them forget their PTSD? And Omar responded, it won't for many people until after the fact, if it happens. Post 20K, certain lessons may be appreciated, and before that will likely be strong hodler/institutional wins. And Galvatron responded, okay, longer term maybe, but the halving is treated like a singular, guaranteed profitable event. I guess I'm approaching it from the buy the rumor, sell the news angle. And Omar responded, wholly agree with you on that. From a strictly price perspective, it seems to me that the price will be higher moving toward the event and drop somewhat around it. Same thing happened last time. But yeah, fundamentally, the fact is Bitcoin security drops if price doesn't rise. Okay. I have a couple thoughts on this. So from my perspective, if you look at what happened historically after the Bitcoin halving, I don't think it was necessarily immediate, and I am admittedly pulling from memory here, but I don't think that the price jump was immediate. But ultimately, there's demonstrably provable proof, if I can say something stupid like that, that shows that a Bitcoin price did ultimately go up thanks to the halving. Now, I had theorized, since we've had 2 halvings in the history of Bitcoin so far, I had theorized that perhaps many savvy investors, if they're going to buy Bitcoin, they would recognize this pattern and buy early. And so that's exactly conceptually what Galvatron was talking about here, is just the concept of the price action relating to the halving being baked into the price prior to getting there. And for some people, I think certainly that would be true. I just don't know to what degree. But not everybody. There's not a ton of people in the world of crypto investing, and I think that's going to increase. And still, like, even if there is some of that, I still tend to think, and this is just me guessing, but I enjoy thinking through this stuff. I still think that some of the people that are going to be trading, even if you look fast forward, a year from now or a little less than a year from now, because the halving, it's going to occur in May. But I still think that not everybody will be factoring that into their buying and selling decisions. So, look, supply and demand is going to do what it does. So I think it's still going to be positive in terms of price action for Bitcoin. But if this particular halving is any different than the last one, it'll be interesting. And, again, it would be the first time that there is some sort of difference there. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then there's this tweet on the same thread from all the way 08. who I think is a rather insightful guy. So I'm happy to highlight him on a because he's and I'm sure some of you guys recall he's got some. I think he's got some really good thoughts about Ripple's and MoneyGram's partnership. And just with his particular background, he's really got something to add. So anytime he writes about that in particular, I'm always happy to cover it. Now, here's what he wrote on this topic, though. He wrote, and this is in response to somebody named Joey Rome, who wrote, could we ask the same of the swell pump in terms of is there the price action being baked in, right? And All the Way 08 says, yep, you def could. Moon Lambo thinks the swell pump was X-rapid leaking. He's probably right. Market is either saying, well, wait and see what the news is, or it's just crazy manipulated. Both can be and probably are true. Yeah, and again, that's true, and I have stated things along those lines. Just to clarify, though, as far as X-rapid leaking being the reason for the price, I think there's some evidence to indicate that. I'm not stating 100% definitively that's the case, but I just remember being in the world a year ago. And that when that rumor came out, that day I remember scrolling through my Twitter feed about X-Rapid, the production version, coming out soon, and that's when I started to see the price go up. And so I thought, these things are probably correlated, right? They probably one has to do with the other, I was thinking, right? And so I wasn't ever convinced necessarily that it was swill, but of course I'm happy to admit I don't know that definitively. I just don't know it for sure. But yeah, it probably, if I had to guess, yeah, it probably was just the news of X-Rapid leaking out. And then that's why when the news actually did come out from Ripple at the beginning of October last year, nothing happened in terms of price action. It was already baked in at that point, and then it ultimately went back down. All right, last piece here. 27 million Bitcoin users now in the United States, says crypto exchange Coinbase, which is amazing because, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I thought that the whole asset class was over, right? Isn't that what all the naysayers were putting out there in the world in 2018? I thought this was all done. The leading U.S.-based crypto exchange Coinbase says the number of Bitcoin users has now hit 27 million in the United States, representing about 9% of all Americans. Think about that, 9%. And look, this is not going away. Not that I think that Bitcoin's the be-all, end-all. It was just here first, and I don't know for sure what its staying power is going to look like. I think without additional utility, it might have some problems ultimately, because I just don't see it getting used for anything. But still, asset class is definitely here to stay, and it's just amazing 9% of Americans are actually are in this. So, in a new report making the 11th anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper, Coinbase analyzes the global adoption and use of Bitcoin since its inception, comparing the leading cryptocurrency to the advent of the internet. And here's a quote: few transformative technologies have captured the public's interest and imagination as quickly as Bitcoin has in just 11 years. Email was invented in 1972, but it took until 1997 for adoption to surpass 10 million people. The television set was invented in 1927, but by the end of the 1940s, only 2% of American families owned one. Which is an interesting stat, which I was unaware of, and it's kind of funny to me because growing up, and I kid you not, my family had 13 TVs. Now, some of them were really small, but it's just funny to think that in the 1940s, by the 1940s, only 2% of Americans had one television. Interesting here. Anyway, the quote continues in here. Bitcoin, on the other hand, went from an idea in 2008 and a first transaction in 2009 to an estimated over 27 million users in the United States alone in 2019, or 9% of Americans. Now, the report also highlights the number of unique Bitcoin addresses on the network, which is now over 820,000, as well as the number of computers that now power the network. Just for comparison's sake, I would like to cite this as well. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,850,000 XRP addresses. It's right around there. So anyway, just thought I'd cite that. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate all the support. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!